And, it's not easy, especially, it is a man's world in the sense that when you are working, you're always in a room full of men, right? And it's not easy, but you have to have that confidence to be able to stand up, put up your hand, make your point of view, thump the table. Many women are not able to do that. And that's perhaps one of the reasons why, maybe it's history now and hopefully will change. But it's not very easy when you have a room full of men and you as a woman have to stand up and, sort of make your point, make a difference. You need to have that kind of confidence and you need to have that kind of competitive spirit. So some God's gift qualities and the others all learned the hard way after being beaten up many times along the way.
Women as leaders heading organizations, is it necessary for you to consciously say, I am going to recruit women? Or is it's just going by merit? What are you going to do as a leader? What have you been doing as a leader, rather?
So, I think it's very important to recognize that it's a goal. The organization I was in at the time, when recognition of diversity in the workplace is really an event, I think, of the last 15, maybe 10 years.
It's not about quotas.
It's not about quotas, but by the way, in terms of quota on boards, I'm in favor, although I've never been in favor of quotas otherwise. But there are things that one has to do. And in order to do it, you create an enabling environment, yes, so that women who join stay, that women who come in progress as they should on merit, but that the environment is one that is fair and enables it. You have to do things that I would call hygiene factors. In fact, one of the things I say you should check is where are the toilets for the ladies, right? So the organization I joined in Grindlays, the only toilet that I could access, which was the ladies' toilet, was 2 floors above where I worked. You didn't even have a women's toilet on every floor. It's a very different scene today in most organizations. But where is that ladies' toilet behind the Xerox machine and behind the coffee machine? And is it a tiny little corner on the floor? Or is it given the rightful place? So, what's the toilet index of the company? That's pretty important. Organizations have moved on. I mean, it really is only a matter of, I think, when at HSBC, I began to look at how do we get more women in. One of the factors that came through, and I did this by setting up task forces with what were women in the organization, but had men lead the task force. And these were all men who reported directly to me, so they could hear it directly. And one of the ideas that emanated was, let's do a 5-day week. Banks have a 6-day week, as you know. We are open Saturdays. But we'll do a 5-day week, and on the 6th day, we'll run a roster in the branches. So we were the first bank in the country to move to a 5-day week. And guess what? I mean, our recruiting of women just went straight up. All the other banks now are 5-day week, right? But sometimes you get the advantage of first mover advantage there, and it helped us. The other rule that I set in was when we go to hire at the Indian Institutes of Management typically, that there should be one woman on the hiring panel at least, and the ratio of people we come back with should reflect the ratio at the institute. So unfortunately, at most of these schools, women were 17 to 20% of the student body, but we should at least have 20% of what we hire as women, to be fair. The good news is that as reputation spread, that we were friendly with women and that we were following best practice, we were coming back with groups which were 40 to 50% of the pool as women. The better women were applying for us, and I think we were giving them a much fairer chance on our recruiting panel. So you begin to address it in small ways and very obvious ways, and before you know it, the change sets in. And then later we brought in flexi hours and sabbaticals and the ability, you don't bring it in just for women. When we brought it in, I brought it in with women in mind, and lo and behold, 60% of the uptake was men. And the senior most one was actually my head of risk, a very key role, who said he was going to leave us otherwise, so we were able to persuade him to do 50% of the year with us and 50% at the not-for-profit he wanted to run. So it became a very interesting way of retaining talent, men and women. So you do need to do certain things, the hygiene factors. Now, many of us have creches in the organization. You can bring your kid to work. The kid is playing downstairs while you're at work, etc. These are things that weren't there when many of us joined the workplace, but I do think they make life easier. But Avni's point is a very, very important one. And at the end of the day, no matter what we do in the organization, managing, and you do have to manage, your setup at home is so critical. So everybody is my friend at home. My mother, my mother-in-law, my boss's wife, my Iyer, anyone and everyone. I'm the nicest person to anyone who can help me. Because you set up that infrastructure around you without which you just cannot function. And that gives you one huge sense of relief.
Yeah, I saw that as a common thread, being able to create that positive energy with the people who are around you, family space and the workspace. You mentioned, I think, that choosing a husband also is a career choice for many women, and such an important
career choice.
such an important line that was to me.
Yeah, actually, I had the opportunity and the privilege to meet with Sheryl Sandberg, and she was the one who had told me this, that choosing the husband is the most important career decision you will ever make. So think very, very, very carefully about it. And I completely agree because, the support system happens through dialogue. It happens through negotiation. It just doesn't happen. You have to tell your partner, you have to tell your parents, your in-laws that this is what I really want to do. And yes, I will be at times working 18 to 20 hours a day. It does happen. And I do need that help. I think it's extremely important for us to be able to have those dialogues, right? And that's what most of us don't do. We don't.
Because of a power equation at home or your own?
I think most of us feel that it's a lot of young girls that I speak with feel that they'll be judged in a negative way if they have that dialogue. For some reason, all of us have been born with this idea of a perfect woman. Right? And a perfect woman is someone who can cook, someone who can is a great mother, a great wife, a great daughter, daughter-in-law, all of that. Nowhere in that perfect woman picture is a great CEO or a great scientist or a great sportswoman, right? It's all about, as we say, that you have to be a domestic goddess. I think all of us are born with that and brought up with that. And somewhere you feel that the career is taking you away from that goal of being a perfect woman. And you have to make your trade-offs. You have to be ready to say, okay, I can't cook to save my life, and I'm very glad that Naina can't cook to save her life. She's my role model. But that's okay.
You can employ a professional to do that. So
I can outsource the cooking. I have a mom who's a brilliant cook and he doesn't mind cooking for me. So, you don't have to be good at everything, but you do have to make peace with yourself. You do have to figure out in your own head what are those trade-offs that you want to make. And there are no right or wrong answer. Each one of us will have a different answer, right? But she can't judge my priorities and I can't judge her priorities because they're completely personal. But I think my only advice is make peace with it. When you stand in front of the mirror and look at yourself, you should be able to say, I am fine with the decision I have taken. The moment you make peace with it, I think everything else falls in place. It's our own guilt trap that is our worst enemy at times.
Avani, you are sharing some of those choices that you made, personal life, what you would like in your life. And does the organization you choose also make a lot of difference? You said you got this opportunity when you were not even expecting it.
Yes, I think definitely the organization, apart from the family, plays a very important role. Making peace with yourself is a balance that you achieve. I mean, most of us know what we want. We want to be, we want to be a homemaker or we want to be a banker. But I think the stakeholder management is a different word today. If you looked at B School 10 years back, they would talk about the board people, the shareholders, important people in the organization. But today, the definition of stakeholder is very different. So for me, I think the organization that I belong to and I chose to work with was the Tata Group. And it is a 100-year-old company in India with very strong value systems. It's a mixed bag with different kinds of people. And in my career, I think I saw female bosses, male superiors. I was fortunate to see different types of people, and they come with their own values. While the organization stands for something, I think your immediate superiors, your teams play an important role in how you make your choices. So when I was a mother, when I chose to have my son, I think I was fortunate to have a lady boss who had a terrible time when she was a mother in the organization. She wasn't treated well. And, hoteliering, at that time I was working with the Taj hotels. It was tough for her in early days. And for me, graciously, she was a woman who never wanted anyone else to go through that experience. So I had all the support, to join late, to have flexible timing. And she also stood up for me when it came to choices she had to make about giving me the assignments. As I moved out of Taj and met a very inspirational leader, I think he was somebody with a wealth of experience at the Tata Sons level. And I saw again a person who respects you, not because you're a lady or you're a mother. I think the person needs to accept you completely. The fact that I had a 1-year-old child when I took up that assignment, I think they accepted it very gracefully. I was given a lot of support. And I see that, a common thread. It's not fashionable to recruit women. I think a lot of studies and a lot of experience shows that diversity is very important. In society and families, we have a voice, sometimes heard, sometimes not heard. But in business, I think it's very important to make sure. A lot of people will agree that 80% of the economy decisions are made by women. They drive consumptions across category. So I think the organizations realize that, and they're taking conscious efforts, and I think it's good, whether it's board quotas, whatever movement is there, I think it's very, very positive. So, you're yourself very hardworking, you're ambitious, you're competitive, you have family who help you hold the crystal ball, but the organization does play a very significant role. So that's where I would
Actually, anyone feel free to button. What do women bring to organizations, really? You spoke about having quotas, that yes, you need women, they add value, but what are women bringing to organizations which perhaps men are not?
I don't think you can say what men are not. It is just that women bring a few qualities I can talk about. A, they are much more loyal to organizations than men are. Second, it is something that I have experienced, that women are more loyal, okay? And I've seen it in the last 25 years of my working career. Second, I think women have a much higher emotional quotient than men. That comes into play very beautifully when you have to do teamwork and you have to take people along. So it's not an alpha, it is about us and not we, not I. Yeah, that's a big difference. Third, I find women very much more conscientious. And I'll give you an example of what I'm saying. So if, let's say, somebody is sick at home, the woman will say, let me 2 hours take to the doctor and I'll come back by the afternoon. The guy will probably call and say, I'm taking the day off. I have to take my mother-in-law to the hospital, right? I've seen many more such incidents. So I find women much more conscientious. And of course, I wouldn't say integrity, there is a difference, but I think women are much more true and honest. It comes from the characteristics, it's come from the DNA that we've seen over the years when they manage home, when they have to do. And let me tell you, maybe it's years of home management, maybe it's all the DNA, but they're also very cost conscious when it comes to the organization. So I can tell you some of these qualities I have actually seen in women, apart from, of course, being great leaders, managers, taking this thing along. These are some of the qualities I see.
I'll add one
I'm
thing
just
to
going to
that.
add one little piece to what she said, that globally, when you look at head of quality, you look at it nowadays in manufacturing, you look at it in healthcare, maybe even in banking, by and large, it's a woman. You know, so there's this sense of, you know, let's get it right, let's focus on quality. And if something doesn't work out right, you know, let's turn the whole thing around and do it all over again. So I think one point which I think women are bringing to the workplace is a sense of getting quality out of whatever they're doing.